Right here at the tactical games. I've done 0 cardio to prepare, but I have a gallon jug of water, so should be good, right? Didn't do cardio to prepare, I'm not gonna start doing cardio now. Go ahead and get nice and close, super unbelievably close. That's a good look.
Once they are done,
so not everyone lives a life like me as a gun enthusiast, someone who collects firearms, that owns a lot of ARs. So I wanted to talk about a gun that I think would be a great only AR, a gun that will outlast you, a gun that will essentially last forever because replacement parts are always free. And now, if that sounds somewhat surprising to you, it might be, if you don't know about Sons of Liberty Gunworks and their company and their firearms. I'm going to be talking to you today about my Sons of Liberty Gunworks kit that got sent out to me by Sons of Liberty Gunworks, and I'm going to be incorporating some of the thoughts that I had as far as the tactical games course that I did just last weekend. The Tactical Games is a firearms course that involves a lot of physical fitness and physical activity, and this gun absolutely will outlast me. I will die before this gun dies. So let's talk about that. I'm gonna be running footage over this while I talk about this gun here in certain points because I just wanted to use that footage in a way that was a little bit more interesting than just uploading it all raw. I might just upload all of the footage to Odyssey and Rumble as alternative platforms if you want to watch the full 50 minutes of footage that I have from that course. Not all of the courses of fire were caught on camera because I actually paid to have my buddy go up in the helicopter and shoot a little bit, but I'm going to be giving you my review after about having a couple thousand rounds in a variety of conditions, just shooting out at public land, taking a firearms training course, and then also shooting this gun in this configuration in the tactical games. Now, before we get going though, just double check that you are still subscribed. A lot of people comment saying that they aren't subscribed. A lot of people think that's not a thing. It is, unfortunately. If you have watched these videos in the past and you found them useful and informative, go ahead and let me know. If you have not subscribed yet, consider it, or not. Drop a like if you like the video, drop a dislike if you dislike the video. Today we're talking about the Sons of Liberty Gunworks kit. Now, I have had hit or miss relations with Sons of Liberty Gunworks. I think that they are a cool company. They make good parts. But in the past, I saw that they sold similar firearms kits completely unassembled through Brownells. And when they initially posted that they were doing that, I kind of looked at it and thought, the price seems a little off. It seems like I could get all of Sons of Liberty Gunworks' parts from them if I found them on sale for a cheaper price than just buying this complete kit. I told that to Sons of Liberty Gunworks and they were like, yeah, you know, honestly, this kit is for people that just want to not have to worry about anything, just get all the parts from one place and then not have to worry about, did they buy the right springs? Did they buy the right parts? Are the pins high quality? Because a lot of what goes into Sons of Liberty Gunworks with the small parts does actually, or can actually, make a difference because they are not skimping out on anything. When you get down into the weeds of it, there's a lot of areas that you can skimp on parts. For example, things like the actual materials that the roll pins are made out of, the treatments and the coatings that these small pins and springs have. Are they Springco springs? Is the bolt carrier group actually mil spec? And things like that. So when you buy a Sons of Liberty Gunworks rifle, what you are getting is actual mil spec when they say mil spec, and oftentimes they are producing parts that are a higher quality than typical mil spec. A lot of companies say mil spec, and what they mean by that is it's the general shape and size of a mil spec part. But when I talked to them, it kind of made sense, but for me, it wasn't really my thing. And then I thought to myself, you know what, maybe I'm wrong. So I asked them, I reached out to them, said, hey, I'm interested in getting one of your kits. And they actually ended up, ATF must be here, dog is barking. They actually ended up sending me out a complete kit, everything completely unassembled, including their nicer M89 drive lock rail, I believe it is, or is it wedge lock? I think it's wedge lock. This rail is awesome, it's thick, it's bulky, but this complete kit, let's talk about some of the specs and features that came with it. The trigger is a polished mil-spec trigger, nothing fancy, just kind of a basic trigger. It's got their enhanced takedown plate with a mil-spec QD, or with a QD plate at it. The staking notches on the actual castle nut are a little bit deeper, so you can get a little bit more staking into the castle nut, which is nice. It came with a Voltor A5 system buffer tube, which is a little bit longer than typical, which gives you a little bit nicer recoil pulse and a wider envelope of operation, meaning you could run this gun a little bit dirtier, a little bit less gas, a little bit more gas, and it's going to be a little bit more resistant to typical gassing issues that some guns might have. The barrel is a government profile, which I'm not a super huge fan of in the current era. I'm more of a fan of a continuous taper, but it's proven, it's a well-proven design. The gas system is not super overgassed like you'll see on a lot of budget ARs where they just try to pump as much gas through it so it'll cycle anything. At the same time though, this gun has handled steel just fine. I have not had an issue cycling lower power ammunition, and when I shoot full power ammunition, it's not so overgassed to the point that it's just beating the gun apart. What I really like about Sons of Liberty Gunworks though is their lifetime unconditional warranty, as well as their warranty that covers if you ever have to use it in a defensive situation and it gets confiscated, they will replace your gun so that you have something to defend yourself with. So if you only want one AR-15, I think Sons of Liberty Gunworks is a great way to go with. Because if you shoot this gun a lot, let's say you shoot 5,000 rounds in one day and completely beat the hell out of this gun to the point where it's no longer working, they will replace that gun. Even when you wear out, eventually the gas rings in the bolt, they'll replace it. If you crack anything, if anything breaks on it from wear and tear, they will replace those parts. And you know, I kind of talked to them a little bit about it, and it made sense. Think about it this way. Let's say you have a guy that shoots 20,000 rounds in a year. He's a competition shooter, shoots a lot out of this gun. When that barrel burns out, when parts break from wear and tear, and they send him a new part, they have a customer for life, and that person is then going to go tell their friends, hey, I shot the piss out of this gun and melted it down basically, and they just replaced it all. That's going to sell more parts. So at the scale that they're operating at, it seems as if it actually makes sense for them. The rail on this gun is their beefier, bulkier M89 rail, which is just super thick. It's a little bit wider than some other options on the market currently, like their M76 rail or their EX03 rail. But what that offers a benefit for is less flex, less likelihood of it warping under tension or dropping and that kind of thing, which is really important if you mount IR lasers and that kind of thing, but for the average person, it's a little bit overkill. However, the installation of this was super easy. You basically just turn these 3 hex pattern bolts in a star pattern, boom, 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 you know, just alternating, and eventually it just stops turning and it sticks. That's it. Super easy. It ain't going anywhere. This will never come loose. It has an indexing pin between the upper and the handguard, meaning that it's not going to spin or turn at all. In addition to having these little ears right here that keep it from rotating and spinning, it is not going to move at all, ever. Now, the accuracy of this gun was pretty on par with what I'm expecting from a duty grade or home defense grade firearm. I was getting about 2 MOA with good ammunition, and with cheap steel case, I was getting about 4, which a lot of you are saying, oh, Reno, why can't you shoot better than that? Well, I have a little touch of the TISM, and I'm not talking about that TISM. I'm talking about astigmatism, and I use red dots. Meaning that when I look at this red dot, I am not seeing a clear, perfect circle. I am seeing an amorphous blob. And is that affecting it in some ways? Possibly. Do I get a little bit better accuracy using the LPVO or a scope? Yes. But this gun, for me, is primarily meant to be a defensive firearm that I would want to use with a red dot. And then if I want magnification, I flip up this little 3x magnifier from Vortex, and I can shoot a little bit more accurately at a little bit further distances. So this optic setup that I have on it is the Aimpoint H2, because I do not need the T2's night vision capability with this gun, on a Unity fast riser, which puts it at 2.26 riser, which I think is about a 3.36-ish or 3.6 inch height over bore, which does affect your zero. If you're running a different height zero or different barrel lengths or different velocity bullets, your 50 to 200 zero might not actually be 50 to 200. Plug it into a ballistic calculator, take a look at it, and then confirm those distances with your ammunition and your optic setup and barrel length to confirm what your actual holdovers and unders are. Typically with an optic setup like this, I'm a big fan of the 100-yard zero because it just makes it a little bit simpler. When you go with like a 25 or a 50-yard zero with these taller mounts, the spread gets a lot wider. And for me, the 100-yard zero, while a little bit more difficult to zero with a red dot with my TISM, does make the holdovers always a holdover, and it makes it just a little bit more consistent for me at the ranges that I shoot, and that's why I have chosen it for me. Now, I shot the tactical games, and that was a very unique experience. The tactical games involves a lot of physical activity and physical fitness and a lot of cardio, which I did not do. I have not done cardio really in the last year, which I should. I know my doctor is telling me I should, my coach is telling me I should, I'm telling me I should, and I will. I will be doing more cardio. But I kind of wanted to just go into that competition and just see where my body fell apart, see if my equipment fell apart, see where my weaknesses, where I needed to improve upon, what I could do to improve. And I found out pretty quickly that I need to do a lot more cardio of various types. I need to do a lot more sandbag carries, a lot more weighted carries and that kind of thing if I want to continue to compete in the tactical games. I have plans to possibly do the one in September in Nevada, which the average temperature is in the high 80s or low 90s, which means the lowest possible temperature is probably going to be like mid-high 80s, and that's not super ideal, but I'm thinking about doing that one. So if you're interested in the tactical games, check them out. Now this gun is pretty standard. There's nothing super fancy about it. It's on an arrow lower. I have a bad lever on it. I use bad levers to clear malfunctions by just holding that up and locking the bolt to the rear. I don't really use them to close the bolt because on a normal AR, when you put a magazine in with a beer can grip, your thumb kind of just goes right there anyway. So it's not a whole lot faster, and for me, it just seems like a more practical way to train because not all of my guns can use bad levers or bolt drop releases on the right side like that. So for me, I practice with closing the bolt with the paddle, but if I want to clear a malfunction, I can just go like that and do so. This gun is awesome. It has not had any issues as far as reliability, and like I said, I've shot it in a variety of conditions. When I first shot it, I shot about 700 rounds just out at some BLM land. Did not have any issues. Sighted it in fine, did not function in any weird way. Every time I pulled the trigger, the gun went off. It locked back to the rear, even on steel case, totally fine. I didn't clean it, and then I shot about 500 to 600 rounds through a training course out in San Jose with Manzano Tactical. Check them out. And it did not have any issues there either. Taking shots at 200 yards is pretty uninspiring and not very exciting, but it wasn't difficult at all either with this setup, even with my TISM. This gun just works. There really is nothing more that I could say about it as far as reliability. When it comes to accuracy, it's perfectly reliable, perfectly consistent accuracy. You're not getting weird, random, one-off rounds flying that you did not just accidentally send that way because you did not control your breathing and trigger pull and sight alignment. So for me, this gun is awesome. I think you can pick these up in the 1500 range, and that's for what you're getting, which what you're getting is a lifetime AR, because they will replace any parts that wear out, break, or get damaged. I think that's worth it. You could go out and probably buy 2 to 3 budget ARs. Or, since you can only shoot one rifle at a time, you could buy one AR of high quality and never, and I mean never, have to worry about it again. And for me, that's really where Sons of Liberty Gunworks comes in. This gun performed flawlessly. I cannot speak higher praises about it, and I just know and have a sense of comfort knowing that the quality control in the parts was perfect. Now, it's not perfect. Every company can make mistakes, but Sons of Liberty Gunworks goes above and beyond the industry standard. If you post on Facebook, Instagram, reach out to them in any way and say, hey, I'm having XYZ problem, here's some footage of what's going on, Mike will just give you his phone number and then talk to you about it, which is something that you will never see in any other gun company. When was the last time you spoke to someone from Smith & Wesson that didn't take 48 hours for them to reply to their contact form on an email? It's just different. yes, you can get good guns for cheaper, but not a whole lot cheaper at a quality that this comes with. Now, talking about the tactical games a little bit, I think the tactical games is something that everyone should probably try to aim to be fit enough to do at least once, just to see where your body stands up and how it falls apart. I learned that I am not the most graceful person, being 6'2", and that some of these specific skills and movements do have a little bit of non-brute force skill to it. I also was not nearly hydrated enough on one of the sandbag carry events, and my low back just cramped up unbelievably. I was drinking a little bit of water, but I was not hydrated enough the day before, and because of that, at one of the early stages, my body just fell apart on me. And that was something that I learned, you know, better hydration, more electrolytes, that kind of thing will help improve your performance. I think there's plenty of data on that to show it, but for me, I learned it firsthand. The Tactical Games is a great event, it's super fun, and it was actually super inspiring. Going to this event and seeing the level of fitness of the other competitors really pushed me and inspired me to want to aim higher and become a more capable person. You can shoot USPSA and be any level of fitness and it won't really hinder you to much extent. But the Tactical Games, your body will fall apart if you are not fit and capable. I mean, I sell this merch, Get Fit or Die, and oh boy, did I want to die at the Tactical Games because I did not train accordingly. And it's something that is going to impact my future because I am going to, because of that experience, be more capable, be more fit, and train harder and in different ways and improve my ability to perform under pressure. There's not many times that you're going to have an experience to run distance, do a lot of heavy work, tax your body to the absolute limits, and then have to shoot in a competition under time and accuracy standards. But the Tactical Games puts you through that. And yes, nothing simulates a gunfight like being in a gunfight, so I'm not going to pretend to be some tactical genius. It's not who I am. So for me, I can do events like this, push myself to the limit physically, and then see how well I can perform, because you're never going to be standing at a perfect squared off stance, calm heart, calm hands, and then just draw and have to shoot someone or defend yourself with a firearm. So for me, it gave me a little bit of insight into how my body will perform under a super high stress scenario that I am not prepared for. If you're interested in Sons of Liberty Gunworks, I highly recommend you check them out. If you're interested in the Tactical Games at all, I highly recommend you check them out as well. It was super fun, great experience, met a lot of great people. One of the people that I actually met at this event was a guy who used to live in California, got into firearms during the pandemic because he saw some of my videos. He was comfortable enough with how to do the process and go and purchase his first firearm in, I think, 2021. And he actually ended up placing at one of the most difficult divisions of the Tactical Games, the Men's Elite, which I thought was insane. This guy has only been doing it for a couple years and now is an absolute monster. Sargon, I appreciate you, man. It was cool meeting people out there. If you have any questions, drop a comment down below. You guys know the drill. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace.